This episode is brought to you by us, and our message is get a floor sample. We're going to say this a lot as we go through this. You're going to spend a whole lot of money on a floor. Room lighting is different from our offices to your home, from one room to another room in your house. Computer screens differ from one another as much as we do to match the look of the image on screen to the floor sitting right in front of us next to that screen. The fact is we can go to another room or another computer and it can look off. So get a floor sample. Before you spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a floor you're going to live with for 20, 30, 40 years, a lifetime, get a floor sample and look at the color of the floor in the room where you're going to put it. You need to see that. It's important. Thanks a lot. Here's the show. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Making Flooring Easy. My name's David. I am a podcast producer, and I happen to work for Dan Kahn, who is one of the owners of Floors to Your Home. Dan, how long have you been in flooring?
Oh, my God, all my life. Let's just say well over 40 years.
Well over 40 years. Okay. When we're starting this show, it's basically what we would call tax season because people get a tax refund and flooring sales just tend to go up. It's the only regular time of the year. And I was thinking, well, what happens to the person who got their tax check this year and spent it on a new television, or they went on vacation, they did something fun with it, and they got home, looked at their kitchen floor, and just thought, that's what we should have spent this on. And next year or a year down the road, we're going to have to replace this floor.
You're right in the sense that the flooring competitor is really the TV or the vacation. It's the money that the consumer has to spend, and they decide to spend it on a TV or a vacation, and flooring kind of gets left behind until it becomes
necessary, almost
an absolute have to.
Right. And what on earth does that even look like? Because when I was a kid, I think what I saw was if you wanted to buy a floor, you made an arrangement, you cleaned up the house, the salesman came over and opened up this portfolio of samples, and he maybe had 4 to 6 colors of maybe 4 to 6 different kinds of floors. And you bought through him, you bought the flooring, he arranged the installation, it was all one big package, and that's how it was done. And that would be, if I didn't work here, that would be the last thing I know about buying flooring, except that I drive around and see that there are showrooms you can go into. So I wouldn't know how to begin. So broadly speaking, what are the options? Because I think there are 3. I think there are those 2 plus kind of more along the lines of where we fall.
So, you know, you're asking me about where to begin, and where somebody wakes up in the morning and just says it's just that time. We have to replace it.
Right, and it's not even how do I start picking a floor. It's how does shopping happen?
Right.
For a floor.
And I think the number one way is I think that people go to their computer and they start looking around. They start looking around at different types of flooring.
Right.
They start looking around at who do I go to.
Sure.
They might be looking for a new dishwasher at one of the big box stores, and they might run into the flooring department and they might start looking there, or see some signs about some different types of flooring. But there's there's all different ways. But I think the main thing is, first of all, they start with their computer, where they start online. Right. To shop and just see what's available out there and what different colors are out there. I think color and style is the very first thing that somebody looks for.
Let's say they're looking around. So I'll look around on flooring websites because I want to see what other people are doing. Or does somebody else have this floor that we have, and we're trying to figure out what it is because we're kind of a clearinghouse for flooring. And what I would find is more of the flooring websites that I found did not have pictures of their catalog online. It was just a pamphlet for their business and kind of told you, here's who we are, what we do, and now enter a contact us. And I was thinking, well, if I'm a customer, what are they going to do? They're going to contact me. Now I'm on a sales list. Or it would say, come to our showroom, but you couldn't look online at the flooring.
And there's so many places to go. Yeah. And they're putting their name in on this website and that website, and their phone is ringing, and this person wants to come out and see them, or they want them to come out to see them. Right. And you go out to see them, and there's all these different choices. So the question becomes, it's a major ordeal to tear up your house and to put the floor down, much less, it can be an expensive, project also. Right. So most people want to say in their mind, I want to do this one time and I want to get it over with. So where do I go? Who do I pick? Do I order something off online? Do I order it from the guy down the street? Do I go to one of those big box stores and order it from? Right. Where do I go to make the safest and best choice? Right. That's really what it comes down to.
Or safest, best, and there's going to be some element of easiest that's going to be in there too, because you are, in your life, you are going to buy a floor less frequently than you will buy a new car. And most of us aren't expert car shoppers. So you're going to possibly do this once, which means everyone is a first-time floor shopper. And so that's why I was wondering about the whole process. It seems like, I'm sure the salesman coming into your home with a portfolio is probably still one way that it can happen. And then you can go into a showroom where you see samples lined up and the salesman is there. And that's a way that it can happen.
That's right.
And both of those, probably you're buying a single package deal. You're going to give them X amount of money. They are going to provide the floor and provide the installation, and it's all one thing. Let's take the salesman who comes into your house, or you go to the showroom as two versions of the same thing. What are the advantages of doing it that way, of letting a salesman be your entire contact point? It seems like one of them would be he's taking care of everything.
Yeah, and if you're comfortable with that salesperson and he provides a degree of confidence and comfort, then I imagine there's a lot of flooring salespeople out there that can provide that and that do a great job and see it through. And unfortunately, there's others that probably just started yesterday or this morning.
Right.
And they're maybe, less
trustworthiness,
reliability, all that. So the consumer is going to let these people in their house. They're going to let them install that. I mean, it's kind of like the same way you'd let a painter or a plumber into your house. You want to make sure the plumber knows what he's doing when he's fixing your hot water heater. So the next day you have hot water, and the next, and you can rely that every time you turn on your shower, you're going to have hot water. You want to rely that when you walk on that floor every day, it's going to perform like it was promised.
What's the disadvantage of having one salesperson do everything for you? Are there hidden costs? Because you'll see something online where it's, call our salesman, we're going to get you this floor and it's going to be $299 for all the flooring you need for your room. But they're also going to install. Might the installation be boosted to, are there weird sort of secret profit centers that could sneak in?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, just like your example with a car. The price on the car is not necessarily what you're going to pay for it after you get through with the warranties and the service issues. If the car is $30,000, by the time you walk out of the dealership, it might be $37,000. So, you have to watch that with flooring also. In the flooring, there's really two parts of the equation. There's the material, and then there's the labor. So you have to think of it in your mind as, what am I paying for the material? And how much is it going to be to install that in my house? So what is the bottom line price? And the installation could be different than what the salesperson tells you, meaning that most of these floors, I'm not going to say most, I'm going to say all of these floors have to go over a level subfloor.
Sure. Right.
Okay. And without a level subfloor, you're asking for problems.
Yeah. And listeners, I'll get into the details of those terms in a couple of episodes.
Yeah. Let's just say you want to have a level subfloor before you go down the road of installing flooring. If you have carpet down and you want to rip up your carpet and you want to put hard surface flooring down, the salesperson may not know what's underneath that carpet, may not be suitable, and they may have to go in there and put some more different type of luan or plywood underneath it to make it a smooth, level floor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that may be extra cost. And they may not know that until after the carpet or whatever is taken up of what's underneath there. So there could be some extra charges, but that's routine. That's not necessarily the salesperson trying to rip off the consumer.
Right.
That's just kind of routine that I think that everybody goes through.
Right. You take your car in for a repair, you think it's this, and they say, well, it's actually two other things that caused that.
That's right.
And we have to take care of all those or this isn't going to work.
That's right.
So on occasion, I would hear us talk about other floor people and what they're doing. And sometimes it would be like, you could buy the flooring for this amount of money, but then the underlayment, which we were selling for, 10 cents a square foot, they were selling for $1 a square foot. And so you're like, oh, well, there we go. They're going to say, well, you have to have this padding under your floor and it costs this much. And there's some sneaky cost there, or they'll pad the delivery fee or something. It seems like there's a possibility, not a likelihood, just a possibility that if you do the lump sum one salesperson thing, you're going to get sold on some great element of the deal, and there's going to be the secondary thing that comes in, the gotcha part.
Well, that's 100% right also. I mean, most people, they go in looking for flooring, okay, and shopping for flooring, whether it's carpet or hard surface, but they don't ask about what's the price of the pad that goes underneath it?
Which almost all floors have.
That's right. Or what's the cost of the underlayment that has to go underneath the hard surface flooring? Mm-hmm. So in some cases that we hear, that we talk about, some places offer discounted installation. Some places offer free installation. But we all know, and this is not a secret, really nothing is free. The person that installs the floor in your house is not working for free.
Right. They have to get paid. They have to turn on their light bill and all that stuff.
That's right. They have expenses. They have to put gas in their truck. They have to pay their workers.
The question isn't whether you're paying for it. It's more how you're paying for it.
How you're paying for it.
And how much you're paying for it, which is why the bottom line
is so important.
Right.
You can look through this bill, whatever, but that bottom line is so important to be able to compare apples to apples. Right. And I think that going back to the internet, you can find out what really a good underlayment is on the internet,
and how much it should cost.
Yeah. But I think doing your homework, doing your research is really important when buying flooring, when buying a flat screen TV, when buying a car, whatever. You're wanting, you really need to do your homework.
And we're going to do that for people over time here.
Right. In this day and age, I would say, I think reviews are crucial. Reliable, real, reviews.
Most people have figured out how to read reviews by now.
Yeah.
You know when somebody is just ranting. You know when somebody probably works for the company because the PR language is in there. And you know when someone just genuinely had a good or a bad experience.
And I think that reviews are important. I think word of mouth is important. I mean, if you have a friend, if you have a neighbor that has had a good experience with a flooring person, that could be a way of doing it or whatever. But, I think a flooring company that has a track record, a reliable track record that has been here year after year. I mean, throwing our company in there, we've been around 104 years now?
103, is it 1921?
1921.
Yeah, so 103 years.
Yeah, 103 years. Now, right. As you know, I'm not 103, but my grandfather started it. So somebody that's been around a long time that knows what they're doing, that you have the confidence that when you put down a floor, that floor is going to do what, you were promised it was going to do.
So the advantage of the salesman or the showroom all-in-one deal is easy on you. If money's no object, and ease is what you're after, like I just want to get this done, I do not want to mess with it, that's probably a good way to go, probably even a safe way to go. The more likely to be money-saving option, and it just happens to be our business model, I'm not tooting our own horn here, is maybe more along the lines of if you separate those two and you get them yourself. In other words, you buy the material yourself from a big box store, from the local showroom, from someplace online, and you hire the installer, you're doing both of those things yourselves, and you are controlling the price, because there's no one to say, well, we're going to boost this so we can lower this cost and hook people in. It's two different sources.
And we've seen year after year after year, I'm not going to say all of our customers, but I'd like to say all of them, but definitely the vast majority save a lot of money doing it that way. We take all these examples. It's like taking a suit of clothes. Do you want to have a tailor make a suit for you from scratch? I would imagine that would be quite expensive. Do you want to go to one of the big department stores like a Saks Fifth Avenue or, even a Nordstrom or whatever, and, buy it off the rack there and have them alter it and all that stuff? Then you're talking about another cost level. Right. But sometimes those same brands of suits end up in discounters, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. So, and they're the same exact brands made by the same exact companies. Right. And it's exact same quality. You're not sacrificing anything, but it might be a little bit more work. You might have to take that suit or that pair of pants to your local tailor and have them hem the length or whatever. And you might save a few $100s, or you might save $1,000 by doing that. It's the same way with us. We have the name brands. We have the same exact products that, whether it's the big box or it's the neighborhood,
right.
The neighborhood flooring store has. And if you want to search it out on your own and get your independent installer and have him come over and do it, these products really lend themselves to more do-it-yourself type products. Right. And I guess you'll cover that down the line.
But because it's an early question that a person has to think about, like, one, are we going to hire the installer ourselves? That could be a big issue. Two, or are we going to install it ourselves? If you do separate, you're more in control of the costs. One, you're going to be shopping, so you're going to be able to say, well, it's this much per square foot on Floors to Your Home. It's this much per square foot at Menards. If you factor the delivery in, Menards winds up actually being more expensive because for shipping from Floors to Your Home, in most cases, you're going to shop at multiple places, and you're going to have a sense of, well, that underlayment should not cost that much.
That's right.
I'm not buying from those people. But the secondary thing is, if you hire an installer, you're more in control of whether you're going to get a good one. Because if you go to Joe's local carpet and Joe's got his own installers and Joe's doing everything, you've no control over how good are Joe's installers. Maybe they're very efficient in terms of how can we save the most money for every installation, and they do an okay job. Maybe they're great. But you can look online for local installers, and you can get reviews, or two, talk to friends. But a local installer is going to know your water table. They're going to know the humidity issues in your particular area where you live. Whereas you might, if you order from a large company, say a national flooring company that has installers, they may be shipping people all over the country who are just...
You really don't know who's coming in your house.
Right. So, and also if you're separating these costs, you don't have the option of someone bundling it in a certain way where they hook you with the price of the floor or the free installation, and then the other one has been boosted. You're buying both. We're a discount flooring, kind of an outlet store, so the flooring we have is going to be discounted. You're set there. Now you find a good installer you may have more money to spend on an installer, but you don't want to. You basically put yourself in control of the quality and the cost.
I think you said it right. I mean, if the consumer wants a quick fix, they can go anywhere for that.
Right.
Okay, they can go down the street to their local flooring store, they can go to their big box store up the street, around the corner, and they can get it done super quick.
They're probably going to spend more money. They are certainly going to have an easier time.
That's right. Well, it's going to take less time.
Right.
Okay, but if you just want to do your research, do some homework, and you want to buy the material and you want to research who puts it in for you.
Right.
In almost every case that we find, the consumer will save a considerable amount of money.
Right. Not $500 off a $5,000 floor, but maybe a couple of thousand off of...
Because let's not forget, the stores make money on their labor.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So they mark up the labor.
Right. So the guys doing the labor
get paid.
Already there's a certain amount it's going to cost them to do a floor so that they can go home and pay their light bill. But now because they're part of a store, the store also has to take a cut off of that.
That's right. So they get so the labor gets marked up and the flooring gets marked up. So if you want the quick and easy way and money's not an object, you can go down that road.
Yeah, read reviews, find out who's good.
Yeah, and go that road. But our philosophy is that it's so hard to pay your bills today. Okay, gas is more expensive. The mortgage is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. That any way that you can save a lot of money, okay, we think it's worth it. Okay, that's our mentality around here.
Right, because whatever you do, you're either going to say, well, now I've spent less money, I can more easily pay my bills, or we can also buy that armoire we wanted in the room. Now we can afford that.
Nobody wants something cheap at a cheap price. No one wants that. What we think people want is something of high value, high quality at a much lower price. And that's what we strive to bring every day to our customers. Nobody wants to get the cheapest car at the cheapest price. Okay, they want the best car, the most high quality car at the lowest possible price.
They want to find the actual deal.
That's right. And if you just want a car and you just want to go into the dealership and just pay for a car, have at it. But what we want to do is the highest quality and give the highest value at the lowest possible cost.
And then we're really not arranging installation for you because we're in Indianapolis, you're in Nebraska. What do we know about your climate, your humidity, your weather conditions? You know, any number of things that an installer local is going to know about.
David, most of these floors click together like Lego blocks.
Right. Okay. Now, if you're going to install it yourself, that's great. If you're not installing it, that ease means a cheaper installation.
Yeah.
Too.
For sure.
So what we're going to do for the show, I mean, Dan and I, we know the business that we work in best. And so we're probably going to fall into talking about it from our context and to give us a little grace on that, because most of what we're going to talk about is going to help anyone who's shopping. Whether you're going to the salesman, you're going to be forearmed with a little more knowledge about how much things should cost. If you're going to the showroom, but if you're going to go buy the floor yourself at a big box store or online, if you're going to be hiring installers, if you're not going to be hiring installers, a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to help you regardless of which path you're on. So this podcast, what are we calling it? Making Flooring Easy.
Making Flooring Easy.
So Making Flooring Easy, it is broadly going to be that. The beginning of it, these first however many episodes it takes us to do it, are going to be about how to buy a floor. And we're going to try and do this easily. Yeah, we're going to try to make this easy for you because it's daunting. And the goal is to kind of do it in the sequence of what's the first thing a customer thinks about? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? And we're going to be guessing. So I already had an episode 2 lined up, and then you gave me those 2 documents that were statistics on what people want when they buy floors. I was like, well, then I have to have a different episode 2. My first episode 2 was going to be what kind of floor can you put in each room, which is a good question to ask. But your thing said the 2 main things people look at are price and look. So we're going to do our second episode with Dan and I is going to be talking about prices, how flooring is priced, why it's priced the way it is, and the kinds of looks that are available from various kinds. Now, in between, I'm reading, I have a bunch of articles that were written for the website that are on this topic, and I'm reading them aloud so that we can put a little button on that anyone can just hit play and listen to the article instead of reading it if they want to. That's a thing now. And since I'm already recording those, where they fall logically in line with what we're talking about after this episode with Dan and I talking about, broadly speaking, how floor shopping even happens, I'm going to drop a few of these article reads that are first questions and first issues. And so you're going to hear some mini episodes, probably 4 or 5. I don't remember how many I've done. I've already got them in the can. And then the next time Dan and I talk, we'll talk about price and look. And after that, we'll talk about floors in different kinds of rooms. But again, listen to this however you want to, folks. Once it all exists, you can pick and choose. You can look at the name of the episode and say, how do you measure a floor? I want to hear that one. Or you can listen to them in order, whatever works for you. We're going to try to make this work for you. You should know as you go on your floor buying journey, what was the average we learned? Like 63 days?
Yeah.
That's an average, which means there are some people who just say, I want a new floor. Boom, 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 boom. 2 weeks later, they bought a floor. And there are some people, it's 18 months.
Right.
Because they're thinking 2 years ahead. If you're doing that, you're fine. If it's taking longer than you thought it would, you're fine. Just understand you're going to get through this. It's going to be, when you're done, you're going to think that really wasn't as big of a deal as I thought. But it's a weird purchase. Give yourself breaks. If you got to do something for a couple of weeks and you're like, I need to stop doing this and go watch Ozark for a season and then come back, go watch Ozark for a season and then come back. But that's what we're going to try to do with this show, is initially, for a while, make the flooring shopping process, make you much more informed, make it much easier to do to get exactly what you want. And yeah, we're going to fall into talking about ourselves because, well, we work here. It's our life. But so thanks, everybody, and we'll be back. We'll be back with a regular episode soon, and in between, you'll have a bunch of little mini episodes that's just me reading. And I'm so sorry. I don't actually like listening to people read things. I'd rather hear people talk. But then I also like audiobooks more than reading books with my eyes. So I just kind of go, okay, well, this is just an opportunity for me to keep doing what I'm doing, and I still get to hear the article. I'll do my best. If my reading sounds flat, I apologize, but hopefully I'll get better. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Okay, end of the show. Boilerplate podcast stuff. Rate and subscribe. Sure, rate and review us. Absolutely. Subscribe? I mean, yeah, if you want to. Like, we're not idiots. We know what this show is. It's information about buying a floor, and once you've bought the floor, you've bought the floor. It's not going to hurt our feelings if you don't subscribe. It kind of makes sense. On the other hand, I'm just thinking in terms of us doing a show about how do you buy a floor, and down the road, we hope to cover things like how to maintain a floor. I don't know. We could do shows that are relevant to people who just live and already own a floor. And so, yeah, go ahead and subscribe. Absolutely. You want to contact us? Our email address is contact@makingflooringeasy.com, spelled the same as the podcast. We have a website. It's very basic. Just got a post per show. But if I have pictures to show you, or if there are links that are relevant, I'm going to put them in there. And it's basically a blog with a comments section. So if you want to ask a question about a certain episode, by all means, go to makingflooringeasy.com. That's our website. Click on the post for the episode title and send us a comment. Yes, they're moderated because there are hundreds and thousands of bots from various countries and ne'er-do-wells out there, and I'm going to filter those out. But we used to have a blog. We still do. We have a blog on our website now, but it used to have a comment section, and just technically right now we can't for some reason. And we got great questions there. Installation questions. How does this floor work? What do I do about cat pee? I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So absolutely reach out to us, and we'll try to answer either there on the blog or in a future show. This podcast is executive produced by Floors to Your Home, or Dan Kahn, some combination thereof. And it is conceived, produced, edited, audio cleaned, all of that by W. David Lichty, and that's me. Music from each episode comes from the website freepd.com, where you can find music for your own podcasts. And for the most part, we generally wind up using music by Kevin MacLeod, who's been making free usable music for more than a decade, and it's generally really great stuff. And listen, if you've got a question we haven't answered on this podcast yet, and you don't want to wait, or look us up on our written resource center, give us a call. We want to be your floor answering people. So we're not salespeople. We're customer service at Floors to Your Home. Call us at 1-800-804-5251 with any questions.